Real quick before we get into today's episode, Pannon will be doing a live stream this Sunday, May 19th, from 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. They'll be doing a giveaway of their own handmade bags, as well as some dice that I have made and a slew of other donated gifts. How do you win some of these amazing things? Easy, but I'm so grateful that you asked. It is every $5 that you have donated to the Operation Olive Branch gets you an entry for each drawing. I will be there behind the scenes. There will be notes in the show notes about it. Sunday, May 19th, 11 a.m. on Twitch, twitch.tv/Jaguarquinn. That is where the stream will be. Jaguarquinn, who is a friend of the pod, who has been mentioned many times, who has a really great environment that they've built. You should definitely go check out his stuff. They will be doing that all day long, playing some Baldur's Gate 3, having a great time. Go check them out. Go donate to the Operation Olive Branch, which kind of ties into today's episode. So, on to the music! Hi guys, and welcome back to Cosplay Stitch and Seam. I'm David, and I am here alone doing a mini lore drop episode bonus special dealy thingy because, as you may have noticed at the time of this launch, this is a Friday, and normally we go out on a Wednesday? And we're even on our off week this week. And because we're trying to bulk up on a couple of our episodes so that way we maintain a consistency for you guys, because that's what we care about, is giving you a really great podcast every single time. I wanted to talk about Eurovision, and Mercedes was asking some questions, so this is going to be my chance to talk about Eurovision. Now, I do want to preface, I have only seen 2 Eurovisions. Count them. 1, 2. I got really into Eurovision because Kaylin and I watched the Will Ferrell movie with Rachel McAdams and Dan Stevens. Also, Dan Stevens is my favorite mutant of all times. And it was really silly. It was fun. I was like, what is this Eurovision thing? I've heard about it before. And we just got really excited about it. We checked it out one year, and then we just dove off the deep end. And we were very, very invested in it. I am not the go-to source for this. I'm not even the best American go-to source for this. So for our European audience, I am so sorry if I miss anything. I would love to know areas that I got wrong if you want to let me know. If you are interested and you've never heard of Eurovision before, one, I highly recommend the... I'm chuckling just thinking about the movie. The Eurovision Fire Saga. It's hilarious. And I absolutely cannot recommend it enough. It's stupid. It's not going to give you a good rating, but you're going to have a good time. And also, if you want to learn more, like, officially, I highly recommend the podcast Eurovangelists. They are a group of people who are really, really good about breaking down what is Eurovision, what's going on, why some of these things are notable. I'm going to give you a very cursory review of what's what, and then I'm going to get into this year's Eurovision, which I will preface, I will be talking a little bit about Israel and the war in Palestine. And if that's not your jam, I totally understand. I want you to keep safe. I do think it's important to have that conversation, and I understand if you need to bow out. However, this is still part of the piece of the world. This is still part of the world, so we need to be more aware than not of what's happening in the day-to-day around us. It's hard to hear. It's harder to live. Okay, so first and foremost, what is Eurovision? Eurovision is actually an abbreviation of 2 words, European television, because I believe it was like in the 60s that, maybe even earlier, I think it was the 50s. Again, I am not the source to go for how accurate this information is. This is all off the top of my dome. But it was essentially like, hey, how good is our television network to broadcast to multiple European countries? And so they would invite Like, hey, let's just do a little shindig, a little performance, back when they had like power hours and variety shows and whatnot. This was kind of the same thing. And it morphed into this almost the entire European Union song contest. So it started in 1956, and it's gone every single year since then up to 2020. They skipped that for, Panini reasons, and then have continued on since then. And it's a song contest, and it has a bunch of representatives from almost every country. Now, I say almost because there are some times where, like, one country won't come in. For instance, Luxembourg was out of the contest for years and years and years, and this year was their first year back. And then there's also other countries, like Australia. They have been a part of it. Technically, the UK is not part of the EU, so the UK does join in. I mean, the UK, you probably shouldn't have left, but that's a different podcast. Meanwhile, this is so unhinged, and I apologize, everybody. Meanwhile, there's also Morocco. They performed once. Israel has been in it for quite some time, and a smattering of other countries here and there. Some go, some stay, some have been asked to leave. For instance, the war in Ukraine set on by Russia, obviously the European Broadcasting Union, or the EBU, has asked them, hey, you can't come in until you resolve this stuff. That's going to come up very important later. So each country decides in their own way, here's the representative for us, and we are going to send them to one location. And that location is oftentimes by the winner of the previous year. There are always exemptions. Sometimes a country doesn't want to host the Eurovision Song Contest. Sometimes, like when Ukraine won, they obviously could not, for the safety of everyone around them, host the song contest. So the UK offered to hold it in 2023. And then all of these countries, usually about 30 some odd countries, that will compete in a semifinal and then a final. The semifinal is usually like the first half of everybody performing, with the exception of what is called the Big Five, which contains Italy, Germany, Spain, the UK, and France. Because we're doing a European thing, we're going to be a little bit fancy. So they don't have to do the semifinal because they put so much money into it. They kind of get straight shot to the finale, which feels a little gross in my mind, but whatever. Half of the people go, usually about 15 or 16 people perform that first night. And then the first night, they all vote. The world votes who they would like to see at the finale. And 10 of those people will get to move forward. And then in 2 nights from then, usually Tuesday night to Thursday night, the remaining 15 to 16 contestants compete. And another worldwide vote is held. Usually it's done by calling in or texting, something along those lines, and you will say, this is who I want to move forward. And then on Saturday is when they have the final contest with the Big Five as well. And there is a jury, which consists of each nation that has sent somebody will send in their vote as well. So they'll be able to say, hey, we want Switzerland to get 12 points, and then 8 all the way down to 1 point. Each nation divvies out their points, 12 points obviously being the highest, 1 point being the lowest, and of course, with only so many points you can give, you're going to snub a couple other countries. That is what happened last weekend, but there is a lot of little things that are going on here, and I think they are so great to talk about. First and foremost, spoiler alert, in Eurovision 2024, Nemo from Switzerland has won, and they are the very first non-binary winner. They have had gay winners, they have drag queens, they've had everybody in the mix. It's something that Kaylin and I have started calling Eurovision as Gay Christmas. It's so colorful, and it's delightful, and it's a great reason to have this feeling of unity at the end of the day, because we're all just trying to show off and be cool people, and I love that so much. So, what happened this year? Ooh, I'm like that beefs on TikTok lady. So what happened? One, remember how I mentioned that Russia was basically said, hey, you cannot participate for as long as you are in conflict with another European country. So Russia was not allowed to come back. Now, there has been some frustration towards the European Broadcasting Union, the EBU, for allowing Israel to continue this year because they have started a war, and a lot of people feel that Israel should not be able to participate. Now, there was some reasoning. People were trying to kind of skirt around why Israel might still be a valid contestant, is because if, for example, the US wanted to send somebody to Eurovision, just on a whim, go with me on this example. If the US were to do that, it would be sponsored by local television, specifically something like PBS here. PBS would host the contest, sponsor the person, and then send them over here, and it would then be broadcasted on that public channel. Now, one of the great things about public channels is that they're not state advertised, right? They may be given their money by the state or the country or the government, but they are not beholden to, which I know is a huge thing oftentimes here on its own. So there was the thought for a little while that Israel's PBS version, which was not under political, how do I want to say, scrutiny in the same way, that okay, well, maybe this is a good reason to have them here. And it very quickly turned out to be not the case, that they were aligned with the agenda of the Israeli government, which was frustrating to hear. So that's one of the main reasons that a lot of people thought hey, it could be okay, and then very quickly went, okay, maybe not so much. So what else happens? Everybody goes and does their performance, and my top 5 favorite is probably Nemo from Switzerland, Ireland's application, who is another non-binary person named Bambie Thug. And they provided this fantastic, witchy, heartfelt about trying to get the attention of someone you love, but just not being enough. So I'm just going to cast a hex on you because, that's what we do in healthy relationships. So they were a real, strong contender, and I really loved them. They were probably one of my favorites. So number 3 was probably Italy, one of the big 5. Usually the big 5 don't do so well because everybody kind of knows of hey, you shouldn't have made it to the final purely just because you put money in. It gives gross nepotism, but that's just me. So oftentimes the UK and Spain and whatnot, they don't do that well because nobody's thinks that their talent is enough to warrant them getting to the finale alone. It's the money that gets them to the finale, and that's not fun. And then there was Croatia, and Croatia was an artist that goes by Baby Lasagna, and they sang about how these smaller European countries don't have the economy to keep theirselves alive. It's a great song. I will put all of these in the show notes if you want to check them out, as well as the Eurovangelists Podcast. So that way, again, you can check them all out. And Netherlands was run by a man named Joost Klein, Joost, Joost Klein, and his song was literally just about I love the EU. There's everything about this place that is just so freaking fantastic. And then it breaks down at the end of him saying hey, this is my life, and this is a song to my dead parents because I made a promise that I would be here. Now the drama is coming in. So Joost was on that second night of the semifinals. Nobody even had a chance to vote at this point. There is a lot of speculation and a lot of rumor, but essentially what has been reported, and I don't want to add to any more of that rumor just yet. I will happily give my 2 cents in a second here, but here is the report as it sits right now. Joost walks off stage. After dealing with some frustrations behind the scenes of it all, there was a camera person who kept getting in his way. And he said and stated that he did not want to be filmed, and it was part of his contract with Eurovision because he had just delivered a really intense song about the death of his parents. And that's hard stuff, Nobody wants to walk out of therapy and just go into their day-to-day and pretend everything's all right. And this photographer did not get out of their way. And according to reports, he made a threatening gesture, and it was immediately reported to the police, and the EBU, the television company that's hosting this whole thing, says, we're disqualifying you because there is a police investigation on you. That has never happened. Never, ever happened. There have been so many hiccups during the rest of the 2024 song contest. One of the things that has been reported is Bambie Thug has stated that Israel was not being how do I put this? They're being dicks. They're being jerks, and they aren't respecting people's pronouns, people's experiences, people's personal space. When they are being filmed, people are just trying to exist and vibe. Israel is just trying to be there to ruin the mood. This is all according to Bambie Thug. Other people have stated and made complaints, and during the finale, there is a big parade where all of the final contestants walk out with their flag, and they're very excited, and they're like, yeah, Switzerland, yay, Lithuania, oh my goodness, it's Croatia, look at Italy go, woo! They have a dress rehearsal for that, and if you've bought tickets for the show, you get to go watch the dress rehearsals. It's pretty fun. You get to see it before everybody else does. And for some odd reason, a couple of people did not make it to the dress rehearsal for the parade. And it came out that the people who did not make it out, Bambie Thug being one of them, was making a formal complaint to the EBU about Israel because, again, Israel was not playing nice. I am trying to use Israel as a word to denote this group of people because it wasn't just the artist. There was a lot of intensity and hard feelings going around. So, Bambie Thug does their performance. It is this fantastic, witchy vibe. They have this fantastic, like, gothic, torn-up dress and style, and at one point, it gets ripped off of them to reveal a bathing suit in the trans pride flag colors, and they are singing and just so intensely, and they identify as a witch and as non-binary, and we love that for them. And if I hear anybody in my community misgendering them, you're gonna hear from me. Gonna learn how. And yeah, stop you. If you're listening to this, I imagine that you are much more aware of people's pronouns and what gender nonconformity feels like. So, Bambie Thug is an amazing human being and has been very vocal about how they are trying to make the Eurovision Song Contest better for everyone, not just for the people who are participating now, but for the audience and the people who are going to continue on next year. It is kind of a mess, though, because the EBU is not taking all of this to heart, and it feels, again, this is kind of inciting what other people have stated, that they are playing two sides and they're not really considering the effects that it's going to have on everybody. Because, a lot of people are reporting, hey, another contestant is doing bad things. Oh, no, okay, yeah. Netherlands, however, makes one threatening action and he's immediately kicked out. It feels a little shady and it feels political. And Eurovision is supposed to be a not political event. There are definitely times where that gets skirted and that gets played with, but it's not supposed to be political. Like, you can't sing a song saying Putin is a bad man. If you write it in a very poetic way, then you're Croatia from last year singing about your prime minister accepting a bribe from Putin. It's hilarious and it's great. So the finale happens and our Nemo wins. Our non-binary person they send it so good, man. And I love their vocals. I love everything about them. They sing this song about understanding the journey of becoming non-binary. Understanding that there's a line that specifically says, somewhere between the O's and ones, that's where I found my kingdom come. My heart beats like a drum. O's and ones, being the binary yes and no. I'm somewhere in the middle, and that's where my happiness is. And for me, I get teary just even thinking about it. I think it's really, really powerful. I think it's great. I think both what these non-binary participants did were fantastic. And you should really watch the reveal because Bambie Thug, when they did their performance, the banner behind them said, "Crown the witch," as in, hey, go out and do the thing. Give me the win, essentially, because it's still kind of a popularity contest, right? So they then, they have this crown and they're trying to hey, if you win, I get the crown and I put it on myself. But when Nemo won, Bambie Thug jumps down, hands the crown, and puts it on Nemo's head. It's so sweet. And just, it gives me hope. You know, it gives me hope. I think I might actually cry. Because it's very sweet and it's very sincere. And there was no hard feelings between most of the people who actually took the win. There were other countries that had more problems with that than not. And there was a lot of inconsistent numbers and a lot of very vocal people at the Eurovision Song Contest. Not only were there protesters for Palestine, there was also a constant intensity throughout the audience. When Israel did perform, they were trying to boo the performance and shout things like Free Palestine, which, again, these are valid feelings, and we want to make sure that, like, hey, people are people, they deserve a space to live. That's just me. That's also all of the hosts on this podcast, and if you don't agree with that, I'm sorry to tell you that this is not a place for you. This is really intense, but I am unhinged from Pannon and faer right now, so this is what you get. And the EBU has a kind of filter on their microphones that can cancel out the booing sound, and they can filter in their own excited cheers. So if you're watching the performance live over television or even the internet, you're not going to hear the consensus of the people. And even when the judges were giving out their points for different countries, you can bet that there was some uncensored feelings when Israel got their points. But all of that sadness and all of that just... all of the bad things that are happening there. The Eurovision Song Contest is a point of pride of the EU, bringing so many people together to show this is what we can do. We can make art and we can be together, and it doesn't matter what we're all going through. We're all singing about different things that bring us passion. And that's what I love about the Eurovision Song Contest, is it's just that. It's like when we all compete for our cosplay competitions. We all have a passion, we want to show off, and we want to see what our friends are doing as well. And it's so great to see all of these great communities coming together. And when some strong voices step in and try to make it no longer about the things that it's always been about unity, about acceptance, about love, and about just pure talent, and try to step in and like, no, we can't do these things. There's an interview with Nemo where an interviewer asked, after Nemo won, a lot of your fans weren't allowed to bring in trans flags. What do you feel about that? And Nemo says, I wasn't allowed to bring my flag in either, but I snuck it in, and I hate that I have to do that. And Nemo drops the trophy when they win it. And it's super cute. And they gave me this new trophy because I broke it. And they fixed it. And maybe there's other areas that the EBU can fix as well. And it's very heartfelt. It's very a safe answer, I feel like. Bambie Thug has not been as safe. They have been speaking their feelings of saying, like, they worked so hard to make sure that the environment continued to be safe and that next year it will be better. Now, what happens next year? I don't know. There's rumors of different countries not coming back. There's a lot of, like, weird feelings going around right now. But what I do know is that next year, the people who continue to come are going to be more of the people who want to see that unity. If, like, Netherlands, say, for example, does not want to come back next year, does that mean that they don't want that unity? Not at all. What it means is that they need to make their voice heard in some way or another. The Eurovangelists talk about, like, hey, you need to protest in your way. Whatever you feel is the right way to support the disenfranchised, then you need to do that. And so Netherlands may want to skip out on it next year. Who knows? But we all need to make sure that we're supporting each other in our choices and making sure that as long as no one is hurt and we are not raising up voices that are there to hurt others, we can grow. We can make sure that we are learning our best. And that's what I love about Eurovision, baby. So For those of you who are in the EU or who are more aware of the Eurovision Song Contest, please let me know. Did I miss anything? For those of you who might be interested in some of this drama, because oh boy, is it drama. Because it's a song contest. It's like American Idol, but better. So much better than American Idol. So much better than The Voice. Are you kidding me? So much better. I would love to share my passion with you guys if you want to join the Discord server. I would love to see you there, or you can even go to the Facebook page. I do monitor that. I may not be on Facebook often, but I do make sure that, everything's okay there. And I would love to talk to you about it because, man, the Eurovision Song Contest is the best, and it's so much fun, and it's love, it's greatness, and I hopefully I have convinced somebody out there to check out the Eurovision Song Contest. That is my rant. That is why I love it. That's why I think so many other people love it. If you want to tell me your thoughts, I'd love to hear it. But make sure to do all the podcast things. Because it's an episode, I want to make sure that we are giving shout outs to the Patreon community that is helping keep the lights on the show. Some of the amazing people that we need to thank are Misty Lee, Cynthia Eve Cosplay, Starfetcher, Troft Cause, Lydia, Yggdrasil, Dr. Steady, Cynics, Jazzy Kofed, Jaguarquinn, Glorious Shoe, and Silver Deeds. Thanks so much, you guys. You guys have a great one, and enjoy your weekend when you get there. I love you. Bye-bye.